Good morning, everybody. This is Tom at Town Guitar Works, and today I want to talk to you about a restoration job I did, and I'm just finishing up for my good friend Fernando. Now, this is Fernando's Rickenbacker 4001 from 1971. Now, Fernando brought it to me in its case, and it apparently had been submerged in a boat at some point in time, which adds to a lot of problems that we're going to get into. But people wonder about what changed from the Rickenbackers where they changed to 4001 in 1973. And my deep dive into the restoration of this guitar will explain lots of things and why restorations can be very expensive. And you have to draw a fine line of between, am I playing this guitar, am I restoring it to original absolute specs, or am I going to make it playable? What's going on with this? All right, so let's start out. And we'll start out at the top of the guitar. The first thing that happened was there's a little bit of a bow in the Rickenbacker truss rod cover. And the reason there's a bow in that is off-gassing. These things shrink and everything else. And the original pickguard material, Bakelite and then celluloid, Bakelite used to just deteriorate, and that's why you can't find the Bakelite blackguard pickguards for the old tellies. And then the celluloid, if you left it in a case under your bed or just left it in the guitar case, it would off-gas, it would damage the finish of the guitar, and it would also shrink or deform while it was off-gassing. So now let's go to the next item up for bid. We've got 4 Shaler tuning machines on it, and you can't see on this, but there's a plastic bushing or grommet that goes in from the top on the post. Well, there's several things that are going on with these Shalers, and I sent an email to Shaler, and they're always very responsive. They're great people to work with. And I had one of the bushings was cracked, and I was trying to get replacements. Well, they changed over to metal bushings, and nobody had those, and I called everywhere, went to all my distributors, nobody had them. And decided finally just to repair the crack in the bushing with a little bit of super glue, and that was going to be it. Now, one of the reasons is, even though these tuning machines look like tuning machines you see these days out on the market, they are not. One is, they are reverse turned, which means they turn, instead of turning away and tightening, you're turning toward you and tightening. So they're geared that way. Then the post diameter is much narrower than the modern ones. And the footprint on the back of the headstock is much different. So saying, Tom, just replace those tuners with new ones, yeah, that's not going to work unless I modify the guitar. And when you start looking about the amount of space you've got on the back here to move tuning machines in and realize there's going to be a bigger plate, you're going to have some stuff sticking out over the edge before too long. So that was item number 2. All right, now let's go to item number 3. And item number 3 is on all Rickenbackers, you have your fretboard is cleared with lacquer. That's great if it's never submerged in water. If it is, then you've got to get moisture and humidity out from underneath the lacquer, or strip the lacquer off and re-lacquer the fretboard. And with the frets in it, that turns into an oh my God, this is going to take forever scenario. Because then you've got to remove all the lacquer from the frets after you do that. So that's where we were with that. Then the body itself, because the guitar was in water, and I've got that's the input jack plate that was on there, and you can't really see the serial number. Now I had to buy another input jack plate. And I got the input jack plate on reverb from a guitar that was being cannibalized from the same era, and it cost $189 just for that little piece right there to hold 2 input jacks, because it has a serial number on it. So we had to do that. Now the neck pickup was removed, and gone because somebody took the pick guard and did that to it. And they also cut into the neck tenon while they did it. Oh boy. Well, the bad part about that is these pick guards are almost impossible to find. I couldn't find one with the correct opening. That's the correct pickup from the 4001 from 1971. Now, if you look up here, this distance is for a 1974 model. And if you put it on your 4001, you're going to have a gap at the top about this big, and your pickup's not going to want to fit in the cavity that's provided. So what I had to do was put these jokers together, trace out the best I could, and then I had to make a jig, transfer this onto plywood, tape the edges of the plywood once I got it cut out, put the new pickguard material on it. I had a blank sheet of pickguard material I got from my buddy Wally, and cut it out on a bandsaw, then take it to a sander, and then finally get it down to where I could drill out the center of that of the pickup cavity or pickup hole, and then I had to take a Dremel with a little sanding disc on it to get the outsides of it. So we did okay. I'm not going to say this is a great pick guard, but it's going to work. Now, this pickup up here was gone. So this pickup came from the supplier I have in France, and I use them all the time. They send me stuff really quick. So the next item we're going to get to is this cover right here. That cover, even though that's chrome-plated plastic, cost about 70 bucks if you don't have it. Now they wanted the guitar to be brought back to normal. So I brought it back to normal. I got it. Now you'll notice the bindings are nice and shiny white. That's because they're brand new bindings. I had to rebind this guitar. That was kind of expected. And when you're doing a paint job on a guitar, if you can't mask those bindings out effectively and the bindings are dinged up anyway, you might as well just take the bindings off and start over. So I did. Now, you notice that Johnson right there and that guy right there, those two strap buttons. Now on this model guitar, for some reason or somewhere along the line, it got a much larger strap button screw than standard strap button screws in this day and age. So I had to source a big bell strap button that I found, and I had to actually still drill out the center to accept the larger screw, so my buddy didn't put this around his neck on a strap and have it come crash into the floor. So that was a problem. Now let's go down to the next one. The next one is, you see down here on the bridge, just right there, there's some foam rubber in there. Now, I was going to get that foam rubber from Rickenbacker to put in there, and that foam rubber piece from Rickenbacker, besides the cost of it, was like $49 in shipping. I was like, yeah, no. I took one of the pickup foams that come in some of the cases, and I cut it. It fit perfect. It's same density as the original mute, and that's what it is, a string mute. It keeps the strings from vibrating as much after they're being played. Now, the last thing that had to be done was these knobs. And these are solid shaft pots, because they're the original pots, and I have to go back in and rewire them today before my buddy comes and picks them up. Now, this is what the original knobs look like. Now, I was going to buy these on Reverb. Somebody had an original set, and they said it's $100, and I thought that was for this set, and I didn't read it, and it was per knob, and I was like, this is just getting insane. These I got from Cash, and guess what? They're just like the ones that were advertised. However, the problem was I still would have to drill out the plastic insert on the back. I wanted the one that had the set screw in it. So I got some nicer set screw ones, and we're going to call it a day with that. Now, the neck binding was fine on the guitar. Like I said, the pick guard thing, I'm gonna do a whole video just on how to build a pick guard, because it's good information and it'll help you out. And like I said, I looked everywhere. Nobody had any 71 to 73 pick guards for Rickenbackers. This one came from Chicago Music from all parts, and it said it was for a pre-73. However, it's got the wrong spacing at the top. This is about a ½ inch. It's almost 3/4 of an inch on the old 71s. So a lot of things were changed from the Rickenbacker from 73 on, and I'm pretty sure some of it was the dual truss rod was put in the neck. The tuning machines were upgraded because they were having some slippage on them. I'm not sure about the pickups, but everything is there. And it had the Rickenbacker or whatever it was, the 2-plug thing. And that's kind of an interesting concept. And basically what it is the neck pickup is wired to one output and the bridge pickup is wired to another. But it's together, it's intonated, it's set up, and now I'm going to have to loosen the strings and go in and chase some electronic stuff around, because it is old stuff, and I'm just trying to clean up the electronics and keep this as original as possible. Now the last part of it, and the most frustrating, that kept this guitar here over 1 year, was not sourcing all the parts. I mean, that took me quite a while, yeah. It was refinishing the guitar. So this is the big warning. This is where you need to sharpen your pencil and take notes. This guitar was submerged in a boat, and I did not know that. And when I took the paint off the guitar, I noticed stains. Now the stains were from diesel fuel. Now I did not know they were from diesel fuel. Now diesel fuel will rise to the surface and try to break through. So I used a chemical stripper, and then I used vinegar and water and baking soda after that to make sure I neutralized the stripper. And then I let it sit, and I did that process again. Should be good, right? Wrong. I sealed the guitar, I put the base coat down, I let the base coat sit, and this was 3 coats of base coat, and came back and looked at it, and the finish was coming up in a couple little spots. And these same spots kept reacting, and I'm going to try and include a picture of the 2 spots when the wood was bare. And what it is the oil and the diesel will keep lifting out of the wood. Now everybody's talking about, oh, well, you got to neutralize this paint stripper. Well, after the first episode of Paint Stripper and me neutralizing it, I went to the heat gun. So then I took the paint off with the heat gun. And again, I painted the guitar, I sealed the guitar, I painted the guitar. And again, this time it took about 2 weeks, it bubbled up. And my buddy's a drummer, and he wasn't in a hurry to get this guitar back. And he was like, yeah, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. So we strip it down again with the heat gun. We neutralize it again. We try and figure out what's going on. We get the guitar back and seal it and base coat it. And base coat in 3 weeks, and it's fine. The base coat is solid. And I'm telling my one buddy, I'm going, I got this sucker now. I beat it. I spray the clear on it, and it bubbles up in a week. And same spots. So it's off-gassing. This diesel fuel is rising up. And the 2 components of diesel fuel are gasoline and oil, kind of, right? So you've got 2 different ingredients you're fighting with. You know, so I've tried, you know, the vinegar and water. I've tried all this stuff. And I kept doing it over and over again. Finally, I want to say on about the 5th attempt, I went to a lacquer. And the lacquer didn't take the first time. The second time the lacquer took, and then I left it sit for like 2 months. Nothing happened to the paint. I sprayed it with the clear took, and I'm like, and out the door you go. So you have to remember something. When you start talking about spraying wood with automotive products, the manufacturer didn't intend that. That was not the substrate that they designed that paint for. And there's arguments all over the internet on, is it sealer or primer, is primer sealer, and all this. If you really read it, and they add, oh, you could use primer on wood, they add that in there, and they've kind of convoluted that term. that wasn't what it was really designed for if you talk to the lab coat guys. So using a good sealer on the guitar will help. Using a sealer over a chemical that's off-gassing is going to be to your detriment. You really have to get that out of the wood and make it stop rising to the surface. And I have no idea how long this guitar was submerged or exposed to water. I know the case was in really bad shape and pretty much destroyed. So that will give you an idea. But it is back to a playable. Yeah, I'm not a bass player, don't sue me. So the guitar is back to normal, he's gonna pick it up. Like I said, I've got to chase a little bit of output problems on it, which is just the age of the electronics are in it, because we're trying to keep everything as original as possible. And I'm not gonna be sad to see it go, really. No, I am. There was a lot of work put into this, and I'm glad he's going to enjoy it, and it's just pointing out a lot of the difficulties or the unknown factors that are involved when you try and restore an instrument, especially an instrument that wasn't in production very long, and many of them out there. So, and a lot of people just didn't know. The people at All Parts assumed that this was the right pickguard. Somebody told them, they said, this pickguard is the one that you want, and it was made in Japan. It's not, you know, a cheapo, but it isn't, and it's quite a bit off from the other one. I'm going to line it up. That's how much difference there is between the two pickups positions. So this is Tom at Talon Guitar Works. Only half my ideas are any good. Hopefully I'm looking at the center of the camera. I got that comment from the last video, and I have no idea. Since I changed to a horizontal format, I'm kind of messed up. Now the shop is backed up another week, so the 23rd of September is when it's coming in, and still looking forward to it. Stay tuned. Hope you have a great week. Bye.